Welcome back to the Talkin Football Podcast. This is episode 9, and we finally made it. This is preseason week 1. We're going to preview each game of the preseason, and I am so excited that we finally made it here. I mean, it's been such a long off season, but we're finally here. Tomorrow starts the preseason games. We have 2 games tomorrow. We have 3 games on Friday. We have 9 on Saturday, and we have 2 on Sunday. So let's roll the intro, and let's talk about it. All right, we made it to the preseason week 1. So even though our first football game was last week with the Hall of Fame game, and it did get rained out, which was kind of a bummer because it was a pretty good game, we're now here. Okay, so we have 2 games tomorrow. As I just mentioned, we have the Lions and Giants in MetLife, and then the Panthers and Patriots at Gillette. So those are the 2 games that we're going to talk about first. So let's just get right into it. Okay, can you pop up, please? Thank you. Okay, Lions at Giants preview. So, many of you guys know Lions and Giants had 2 joint practices earlier this week. It was Monday and Tuesday, and they were very, very entertaining. Very entertaining, just in general. I mean, there was so much stuff going on. There were, I believe, 8 fights total. If you guys heard about it, I mean, you had Malik Neighbors going at Kirby Joseph, and it was Daniel Jones getting in fights. It was a lot was going on in these 2 practices. Yesterday, so Tuesday, their second practice of the week got ended early because of the fights. Today, they got fined $200,000 for the fighting because the NFL sent out a memo saying you can't fight. It's like, no kidding. It's like, obviously you can't fight. Like, that's kind of the point, like, whatever. Anyways, so they play tomorrow in MetLife, and this is different. And in my opinion, this is the marquee matchup of the week. I mean, this is an unbelievable game. I mean, these 2 teams were going at it for the last 2 days, and they have been. I mean, both teams have been dominating each other. I mean, the Giants, and I'll give credit to the Giants. They have a backbone now. They were not getting tossed around by the Lions, and that's what I was kind of concerned about as a Giants fan. I wasn't totally sure if they were going to get tossed around and dominated by Detroit, and they didn't. They held their own, and I respect them for that. So this is definitely an interesting game because both teams have a lot. I mean, the Lions they need to win this game because I think if you had a record for practices, they would be 0-2. The Giants just played better than them. Brian Burns played well. Malik Neighbors played well. And I'm not saying that Amon-Ra St. Brown had a good couple days. I'm not saying that the Lions got pushed around, but I will say the Giants didn't let the Lions push them around. So in this game, I'm looking for a couple things. And on Detroit's side, I'm looking for energy. They showed energy in practice. You got to keep it up. It doesn't matter if someone gets hurt. You got to keep going. You have to keep showing that you are the toughest team in the league. This team, they are the toughest team in the league. They proved that they can win tough games. They can prove that they can play well in the playoffs. They prove that they can come back. They can do anything because they are just an emotionally tough team. So I'm looking for energy, and this is not just. It's not the first team. This is all teams. First team, second team, third team. Every player on this team, every coach on this team needs to bring the energy because they just had a couple of tough practices against the Giants, who went 6-11 last year. So if I'm the Lions, I am going full force, and I'm like, you guys gotta, be disciplined, but bring the energy. On the Giants side of the ball, I'm looking for quarterback play. So this is Jones, this is Drew Lock, this is DeVito. I believe Jones is playing tomorrow. I don't know how long. I doubt it's going to be very long, but if I had to guess, it's maybe a drive or 2. And then Drew Lock will probably take over, and then Tommy DeVito after that. I'm just looking for safe and sound quarterback play. That was a big problem last year because when Jones was playing, he was always getting sacked. And if he wasn't getting sacked, he was always throwing an incomplete pass. And if he wasn't throwing an incomplete pass, he was fumbling. I don't know. There was always something going on. And then Tyrod Taylor came in, and he kind of had the same problem. And DeVito, and they gave up, I believe, 85 sacks last year. So if the big thing is just consistent QB play. Just get the ball moving. Doesn't matter how you do it. Just it's matter when. Okay, you got it. It's get it done. Get it done. Because if Jones can't play if he doesn't play well in the season, and Daboll is like, okay, well, we got to move on. Do we have a guy in house that we can move on, that we can put in there? And I think they do. I think Drew Lock is good enough to be that guy, but consistently, I don't know. And that's kind of what I'm looking forward to in this game. Is safe quarterback play from New York, and then from Detroit, I want lots of energy, and I want energy from the Giants too. I'm just saying the Lions. I'm not really focusing on them specifically. Like, they are a good team. There's nothing really to focus on. They improved their secondary, but I'm not going to say I need to see how Terry Arnold plays against this third string receiver. I need to see, like, can you guys repeat what you did last year? Can you show that same intensity? Can you show that same energy they had last year? Because if you can do that, then you'll be good for this year. So yeah, let's move on to the other Thursday game. This is the Panthers and the Patriots in Gillette. This is Dave Canales' first game coaching since he was hired from the Bucks to the Panthers, and that's a good transition for me, because that's what I'm looking forward. That's what I'm looking for with the Panthers. Look, they were horrifically bad. Okay, they were terrible offensively last season. Bryce Young was running for his life. He had no weapons, and he just had no help. Now we're here. Now he has some more help. Okay, they just drafted Xavier Legette. Um, they have what they need. Okay, they have a better offensive line. They signed Robert Hunt. Excuse me. And they have a new offensive system. Now, it's not Frank Reich. It's now Dave Canales. And we saw what happened with Baker Mayfield. He revived his career with Tampa. Baker Mayfield was fantastic last season. There's no other way to put it. He was fantastic. He brought the Bucks to the divisional round in a season where I thought they were going to win 2 games. I mean, he was absolutely on point, and that's kind of what I'm hoping to see, what that Dave Canales brings to Bryce Young. And if you saw my breakout post, that's what I think is going to happen. I think Bryce Young has what it takes. Can he do it consistently, though? That's what we're going to see in the preseason. So I'm looking for the offense. How can the Panthers draw up different plays against this Patriots team now under Gerard Mayo in his first preseason game? It's going to be a chess match. Preseason games are so important for game planning, because if you mess up game planning in the preseason, you won't be ready for the regular season. So how can Gerard Mayo implement a defense against Dave Canales' offense? That's going to be really interesting to see. So I'm definitely curious to see from the Panthers side of things how they can kind of maintain an offense in this after a season of just bad football. I mean, I can't say any better. I mean, I believe in the last game of the season with the Panthers, their last offensive play, I don't know why it was a fourth down. I think it was I don't know why. I want to say it was like a fourth. It was a 4th and 5. I'm pretty sure, and they had it at like their own 20, because they can't move the ball. They had it at their own 20 or something like that, and they threw a screen pass, and it got blown up for like -3 yards. And I was like, oh my gosh, that was tough to watch. So I'm curious to see, can Dave Canales bring that offense? I mean, and what is that offense? It's easy play actions. That to reliable receivers. They have Adam Thielen. He is a reliable receiver. It's running up the middle with guys like Miles Sanders, guys like Jonathan Brooks when he's healthy. That's the Buccaneer way, is a very balanced play action based offense, and that's kind of what I'm hoping that Dave Canales can bring to Bryce Young and company here in Carolina. On the Patriots side of things, I'm not really looking for Jerron Mayo to have a good head coaching game. I'm not. I don't. If he doesn't, he doesn't. He has more time to develop, and plus he's a Belichick guy, so I don't really have my expectations aren't super high for him right now. I believe that he can do it on his own. I think he was the best choice for the Patriots. Now, what I'm actually looking forward to is QB play. QB play in terms of all of them. Brissett, Milton, and Drake May should all get equal playing time tomorrow. However you can divide it, do that. I would say Jacoby Brissett needs 2 to 3 drives tomorrow. Then I would say Drake May needs like the rest of the first half, and then I'd give Joe Milton the second half. That's how I would genuinely do it. And I know that doesn't really sound even, but this is a quarterback duel between Joe Milton and Drake May. The starting job is locked up by Brissett right now, unless he does something terribly wrong in the preseason. This is now a QB2 competition between Milton and May, and Joe Milton has proven that he can win, that he can outcompete Drake May. He did it in training camp, where Joe Milton's just firing. He's firing away. He has nothing to lose because he's a sixth-round pick. He knows he's on the roster. He's the third QB. Drake May has something to lose. He's the third overall pick in this draft, and if he can't provide for his team, then they're in trouble. So I'm definitely that's what I'm looking forward to. Joe Milton compared to Drake May. That's kind of that's like the big thing in my opinion. That I'm looking forward to in this game. All right, let's go to the Friday games. The first one I have written down is Atlanta at Miami. We have the Falcons and the Dolphins in this one. So, what am I looking forward to in this game from Atlanta's side? One word, Penix. That's all I'm looking forward to. I just want to see how Michael Penix plays. That's it. And again, you don't judge a performance off of one player, but or off of one game, one drive. But I might have to. This is a team, okay, that just hired a new head coach, right? They gave big bucks to Kirk Cousins, and then with the 8th pick, instead of deciding to build around him and try to make this team better, they went with a quarterback. Bold, I respect it. Anyways, that's going to decide this game, or that's going to decide like what's going to go on with Atlanta. If Penix doesn't play well, then there's kind of a problem here because then you wasted a pick for no reason. So I'm definitely I'm getting a magnifying glass and I'm looking very, very closely at Michael Penix. That's the biggest thing in this game. With Miami, I don't really have anything specific to look at, and this was actually interesting because I'm looking at my notes here, and I wrote down a couple things for each team. In Miami, I wrote down the kickoff. What does that mean? So we saw what it was like in the Hall of Fame game. In my opinion, I think it's so unbelievably unnecessary. It doesn't provide, and everyone's like, "Oh, you're telling me you think you're telling me touchbacks are fun?" Yes, they are. Touchbacks are completely fine. I would rather get the ball at the 25 than have them run out and start at the 15. I don't like that. Start at the 25. Take a knee. I'm curious to see who Miami puts back there. Who in this? I mean, this kind of goes for all teams, but Miami specifically. Who are they going to put back there? They are the fastest team in the league. They have so many players that are burners. Berrios can go back there. A-Chain can go back there. Mostert can go back there. Tyreek Hill, if you're willing to do that, can go back there. Waddle can go back there. They have so many players that are fast that can go back there, that can return kicks. And that's kind of what I'm looking forward to. Who are some of Miami's players? Because they know where the speed is. Mike McDaniel, that's what he's dressed for. He wants speed, and he's good at that. So who are they going to put back there that could potentially make the roster because of their speed and because of their vision during the kickoff? So that's what I'm looking forward to for Miami. I mean, there's other things to look forward to. I mean, like how can Skylar Thompson play? Can he play in case Tua gets hurt? What's the offensive line looking like? How's Tua going to look like? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But I think we know that Miami is a good enough team that that we can say these kind of things and move on from that. So that's what I have here. I have the kickoff for Miami because we know Miami's a playoff team. They won in the playoffs. They did not win in the playoffs. They got destroyed in the playoffs in a very, very boring playoff game against the Chiefs. We know they're a playoff team. They can. I mean, it's a shame because they just got stuck in a cold environment where many fans got hypothermia. I mean, that's just a coincidental thing. I mean, that's just kind of the way it went. That's not really the Dolphins' fault. It's just the way that their seeding went because they don't know how to keep a divisional lead. Okay, next game, Houston and Pittsburgh. So Houston, they played in the Hall of Fame game last week, and I'll be honest, the Hall of Fame game usually isn't very fun to watch. I'll be honest, boring because a tight end makes a catch, and they're like, "Oh, caught by Washington," and you're like, "Who is that?" I mean, that's what the Hall of Fame game is about. It's about these guys that can maybe make the roster or maybe get more snaps in the preseason based on their play in the Hall of Fame game. But the Texans, they played well. I'll give them credit. And I mean, Keenum played well. Davis Mills played well. They were moving down the field very well. And even though the game got rained out, they still played well. And my notes, I have one thing written down for Houston. I wrote down Hall of Fame game. Continue how you played in the Hall of Fame game offensively. Keep that moving, because if your backups can work well, then your starting offense can work well. Because they had guys like Hutchinson, they had guys like Mechie out there. Those are your fourth and fifth string receivers. If these are the guys that are playing in the Hall of Fame game, then you are loaded with offensive talent. So that's kind of what I just want them to keep consistency. Just keep it going offensively. Now, defensively, they have to tighten some things up. I mean, they were getting shredded by Brett Rippon, and I'm going to talk about him in a little bit when I get to the Bears game. They were getting shredded defensively. They weren't getting home. It was just bad. And for a I'm just saying they are theoretically a defensive-minded team because their head coach is a defensive coordinator, or is a former defensive coordinator and a former linebacker. They got to patch things up. And there's no better time to do that than against Pittsburgh. What do I mean by that? Pittsburgh is in the middle of a quarterback duel between Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. And that's my big thing for Pittsburgh in this game. Who's going to play more? If I had to guess, I would say it's probably going to be Justin Fields. And Fields has earned more playing time. And I believe right now it's a toss-up, and they could both get an equal amount of snaps. And I think right now, if I'm Pittsburgh, I'm probably going with Russell Wilson, but Justin Fields is an option. And they can switch back and forth. And that's and Pittsburgh usually doesn't have this kind of flexibility. They're a very stubborn offense. That's a perfect adjective to describe them. They're a very stubborn offense. They have one thing, and they're okay at it. They're never better than okay at it. And that's what it's been like since Ben Roethlisberger exited his prime, because they had Antonio Brown, they had Le'Veon Bell, they had young Juju. That was a really good team, but ever since Brown became a nut and Le'Veon Bell left for the Jets, they haven't been the same. They haven't been able to build an offensive team. So, and this is kind of when you experiment. The Steelers need to experiment in the preseason. This is the time where you kind of say, okay, Fields can play here. Okay, so let's maybe use him in the regular season here. Russell Wilson cannot be in these situations. Fields can play here. Fields cannot be in these situations. Wilson can play here. That's kind of what the big thing is for Pittsburgh, in my opinion, and that's kind of what needs to continue here in the preseason as we go closer to the regular season. So Pittsburgh definitely needs to focus on their quarterback play. And Houston, it's a good time for them to patch up their defense, because that was rough in the Hall of Fame game. All right, Eagles and Baltimore. So this is two very, very good teams, two teams that could potentially play for the 1 seed in their respective conferences. So Philly, what I have written down here, I have young DBs. That's what I'm looking forward to. How does DeJean play? How does Mitchell play? How does Ringo play? They are secondary-wise, they are loaded with young talent. They have so many young players that could develop into big stars, and that's the preseason is what that's for. So that's what I'm going to look forward to. I mean, other than that, I'm not going to say I'm looking forward to anything else, because with Philly, you know what they bring. They're a good team. They pound the rock. They throw the ball well. They rush the passer well. They're just a well-built team. And I'll give credit to Howie Roseman. They were a well-built team. They know what they're doing. So I'm not really looking forward to anything else other than the young DBs and how they play. Baltimore, it's linebacker play, and because Roquan Smith left for Pittsburgh, not Roquan Smith. Patrick Queen left for Pittsburgh. Roquan Smith is like their only, in my opinion, like really good linebacker. I was reading an article, and they, in a bold take that a Ravens fan had, was that Trenton Simpson was going to go for like 120 plus tackles. That's kind of what I mean. That's like what I want. Can Trenton Simpson play at a high level? Can other linebackers with the Ravens, can they play at a high level? Because if they can, then you have a hole there. And Roquan Smith and Patrick Queen was a good one too, but if you don't have someone to back up Roquan Smith, then you're screwed a little bit. So other than that, I'm just looking for a good football game, because both of these teams have good depth, and I mean, that's just kind of the stuff you're looking forward to in this game. Other than that, I know I know if you're an Eagle fan or you're a Raven fan, you're looking forward to the preview. I mean, that's all you really have because you know what you have. I'm not like a lot of these teams here are like the teams I was just talking about. These are teams with something to prove, like Pittsburgh, the Giants, the Patriots, Panthers. These are teams that had been bad the previous year or not great. Even though Pittsburgh did go 9-8, doesn't really mean anything. Like let's be real here, it genuinely doesn't. All right, let's get into the Saturday games. We're going to start with Washington and the Jets. So, Commanders, Jaden Daniels. That's all I'm looking forward to is Jaden Daniels. He is I don't know if he's starting, but he is playing. I know that. That's something I'm curious. I'm. How is he going to play? Genuinely, because watching Hard Knocks, I'll be honest, I wasn't very impressed by him. And I don't know about what you guys think, but I'm just saying I wasn't very impressed by what he had to say when the Giants were interviewing him. And Dable gave him a play, and he said it back technically wrong. I think he said F in instead of X in. And Dable, and I think I talked about this on one of my other pods. Dable was like, okay, well, here's the play, switch it up, and then what do you want to do? And he said, throw a touchdown. Like, I mean, yeah, that's like a swaggy answer, but like, what do you actually do? Because yeah, I thought that he felt, and obviously you're a little under the pressure, and I get that. How does Jaden Daniels respond? Can he? And this is the Jets. The Jets. I'm just saying, they get a lot of attendance for preseason games. The Jets, they get a lot of people there, because Jets fans are ready for a bounce back season. They want to see how their team plays. Um, and that's kind of like the big thing here. Can Jaden Daniels survive in a preseason environment? Because the Jets get loud. That's just how they are. The Jets get loud. So I'm looking forward to see how Jaden Daniels plays against the Jets and their very stout defense. On the Jets sideline, I have two things written down. I have the offensive line and quarterback play. So the offensive line, it's still kind of rough. I think. I mean, they added Tyron Smith. They added Morgan Moses, I think, but I think Morgan Moses got hurt, if I'm not mistaken, during the offseason. And then they also signed Tyrod Taylor to be their backup QB there. So I'm definitely interested to see how Tyrod Taylor plays. I know how he can play. I've seen him play. For a relatively older quarterback, he can sling it. I mean, he has a very good arm, and he's a good fit with the Jets because with Zach Wilson, they didn't win anything. It was rough to watch Zach Wilson play with the Jets last season. I mean, it was just, and they had to throw in Tim Boyle instead. Ugh, bad, bad, bad. Um, but yeah, so that was definitely interesting. Um, what am I saying? So Tyrod Taylor, I'm looking forward to see how can he play, and I know he can play well. I just want to make sure he can stay consistent because if another Rodgers disaster happens, then you have someone you can rely on. Now, even if Rodgers goes down, in my opinion, I know how well Tyrod Taylor can play. Tyrod Taylor can absolutely lead this team to the playoffs, and I have no doubt in my mind that he can do that. He's good enough that he can. Um, so I don't like when it comes to other guys. I don't think anybody else can, but you know, that's that. So yeah, that's it for the Commanders and Jets. Looking forward to Daniels. I'm looking forward to Jets basic offensive things because we know the Jets are good. Like we know they have a theoretically good team. Um, they have a theoretically good team. Yeah, they do. They genuinely have a theoretically good team. I mean, they have a great defense. We know they have a good defense, and then offensively, it's been kind of a struggle for them the last couple of years. But now this should be the year. But who really knows? Okay, Bears and Bills. So for the Bears, I have on my notes I have QB written down for the Bears. I don't know if Caleb's playing. I'm pretty sure he is. Even if he isn't, what are the backup options? Can Chicago's back? Can Brett Rippin? That's who I was talking about earlier. Can Brett? Can he rip it? Because he was playing fantastically against the Texans. He was absolutely. He was. I don't know how else this. He was really good. He was slinging it. And he was actually had a really good connection with Colin Johnson. Colin Johnson, former Giant, he was playing really, I mean, very, very well, like surprisingly well. And I'm happy for Colin Johnson because I know a couple years ago he was supposed to be like the big thing there, and he tore his ACL or Achilles or something. But he was dominant. I mean, Colin Johnson, he was getting open, even though he only had 2 catches, but they were both like jump balls. So, but other than that, I'm definitely curious to see how Brett Rippon can come back and play. Um, after a very solid Hall of Fame game, and also if Caleb Williams plays, can he make basic things happen? Preseason week 1 is where you make basic things happen. If you can't make those things happen, then you're kind of then you're then you have a problem. But I'm pretty sure he can make that happen. And this is Caleb Williams' first technically pro game because he didn't play in the Hall of Fame game. If he plays in this one, but if he doesn't, I just want to see more Brett Rippon. Just keep it going. Just keep it going. That's the biggest thing when it comes to the Bears. With Buffalo, receivers. You lost Diggs. You lost Gabe Davis. You added Curtis Samuel. You added Keon Coleman. Then they also lost Khalil Shakir, I'm pretty sure. No, they did not lose Khalil. No, they still have Shakir, I'm pretty sure. But they have a completely new receiving room. Who can step up? Because you just lost Diggs, right? I mean, this team just lost Diggs, and Diggs was the number one option with Josh Allen. And we think that Dalton Kincaid can step up. We think that Dawson Knox can step up. But in that receiving room, who can step up? Now, we've seen Keon Coleman and Josh Allen develop a nice relationship in training camp and in OTAs. So I'm pretty sure Keon Coleman can. And I know he can. He played well at Florida State. Curtis Samuel's a good receiver, but is he good enough to provide almost like a Gabe Davis role? I think so. Can he stay healthy? I don't know. And then can Shakir play at a high level again? That's what I don't know. And then can the backup guys play? I mean, I don't know if they can play consistently, and that's the biggest thing in this game. Because and the Bears, after that first drive by Davis Mills in the Hall of Fame game, that the corners played pretty well. They held their own for the most part. So I'm definitely of everything in this game. I would definitely say I'm more focused on the Bills receivers than the Bears quarterbacks, because this is the stuff right here. I mean, the Bills need these receivers. They need to step up, and if they don't, then this is really where for me, like I'm making my predictions in a couple weeks. Like I'm waiting for after the preseason to make my predictions to avoid injuries. But this is really where it comes down to it for the Bills. If these receivers don't play well, I don't think Buffalo is a playoff team. I just don't see them as a playoff team right now. I mean, they could be a playoff team maybe if Keon Coleman really steps up, but they're borderline right now. They're not a division winner right now. I don't see them as a division winner with this current receiving room. I mean, they're good, and they lost a lot of secondary players too. Like I just don't see a world where Buffalo is a surefire AFC East winner this year. And there are guys that need to step up there. Raiders and Vikings. This is another interesting game. So Antonio Pierce, this is his first game as like an official head coach. First preseason game as an official head coach. Last season at this time, he was a linebacker coach with the Raiders. And this is his first full season in charge. And I'm really excited to see what the Raiders can bring to the table. What I know they brought to the table is terrible quarterback play. Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew have both been very bad, based on what I know. And I've seen videos; they just don't look good. Minshew looks terrible, and O'Connell looks equally as terrible, if not worse. So Las Vegas, you quarterback play. It's another team with quarterback play. I don't see you need to keep this consistent. And Gardner Minshew, I'm just saying he should start the game, and O'Connell should probably get those other reps because right now, I would trust Gardner Minshew a whole lot more than I would trust Aiden O'Connell. I don't trust Aiden O'Connell. No part of me trusts Aiden O'Connell because I don't care how good they were with Antonio Pierce. I don't care how many points they scored with Antonio Pierce. Aiden O'Connell is not a good quarterback. I don't like him. I just don't like him as much as I like Gardner Minshew, I believe Aiden O'Connell has the edge right now. But I don't know why you would do that. It's like almost throwing him into the fire. You're in a very very tough AFC West division because the Chargers should be better this year. Denver is looking better, and the Chiefs are the Chiefs. Like, I mean, and I don't want to hear that Aiden O'Connell beat the Chiefs because he can beat the Chiefs. The Raiders beat the Chiefs. The Raiders featuring Aiden O'Connell beat the Chiefs. That's kind of how I envision it. Any win with Aiden O'Connell it's like a song, okay? Like you can have it's Las Vegas Raiders featuring Aiden O'Connell. That's my opinion on it. I don't see Aiden O'Connell as a winning quarterback. He's a very mediocre quarterback. Actually, he's worse than mediocre. He's just not. I don't want to make this episode into an Aiden O'Connell roast, but I mean, I don't. I need to see consistency, and I hope he shuts me up because I just don't see. I don't see that. So Las Vegas, it's got to be cute quarterback play, and this is a good time to do it because Minnesota, um, they are a little bit lacking in the secondary end, and I know they lost Kyrie Jackson, um, and I know Mekhi Blackman got hurt, but this is the kind of the time. Can you attack when it when it happens? Can you attack this week's secondary? And I know Minnesota's adding guys. They just added, I believe, Fabian Moreau, not Foster. Foster Moreau's a tight end. Fabian Moreau's the DB. They just added Fabian Moreau. There's potential that they could add Xavier Howard or Gilmore maybe in the future, but I don't think that's going to happen right now. But Vegas, this is your time to shine. Minshew and O'Connell need to attack. Minnesota, I have basically the same thing, except I have one added thing. So I have two things. My number one thing is the quarterbacks. You have Darnold, you have McCarthy. You also have Nick Mullins, you have Jaron Hall. So you have four quarterbacks worthy of playing time. Darnold should get a good majority of first quarter snaps, and then JJ McCarthy, I would give him the rest of the first half, and then Nick Mullins and Jaron Hall, I would split up. I'd give Mullins the third quarter and Jaron Hall the fourth quarter. That's what I would do if I'm Minnesota. So here's the thing. Right now, Darnold should start. There's no reason that Darnold shouldn't start, and I know, and they have a plan. And O'Connell is a quarterback guru, and the thing, and we saw that with Matthew Stafford in LA. Here's the thing. This is O'Connell's first opportunity at developing a quarterback. He has never had an opportunity like this. And gosh, who was the guy they drafted a couple? Kellen Mond doesn't count. He was a third round pick. This is like his first real quarterback that he can mold the way he wants to. Matthew Stafford was the way he was. Matthew Stafford was already molded. You just had to build an offense around him, and that's what they did. Now you have a guy who you can mold, and then you build an offense around him. So I wouldn't. I'm not expecting the world out of JJ McCarthy right now. I'm expecting here and there signs of hope. I mean, he's an athlete, JJ McCarthy. He's not a quarterback. I'd say he's an athlete. And we've seen that he can be an athlete. And I wouldn't expect him to start, even if he blows us out of the water. I wouldn't expect JJ McCarthy to win the starting job, especially against the Giants week 1. And that's throwing him into the fire because the Giants are ready to win. Our fans, especially after the joint practices against the Lions, we're energetic now. Like, we are going to be loud. This is not a time to start JJ McCarthy. This is not a time to be horsing around. I would have Darnold play. Darnold should start right now, but is there a chance that Nick Mullins comes out of nowhere? Is there a chance that Jaron Hall comes out of nowhere? There could be, maybe, but I doubt it. My second thing with Minnesota are the receivers. So the thing is, Jordan Addison, with his after second DUI that I talked about in one of the weekly news recaps, so he is currently likely to face a suspension plus I believe jail time, and that's not good. His court hearing for that DUI is October 7th, so he can play up until that point. But after that point, what's going to happen? So the thing is, this is time for those other receivers to shine. I know the Vikings lost KJ Osborne this offseason, which really stings because if they could have brought him back, they wouldn't have a problem here. But Minnesota Vikings receivers, you guys got to step up. They absolutely have to because Addison's absolutely going to face a fine, or he's going to absolutely face a suspension. It's just a matter of when, not if. So that's the big thing here. I I don't really know what to expect from this, but if I'm a Viking receiver, I'm like I got to step up right now, or else we're in deep trouble. All right, Packers and Cleveland. So with the Packers, they fired their defensive coordinator from last season, who I'm blanking on a name now. I don't remember who it is, but they signed or they hired Boston College head coach. I believe his name's Sean Half. I know I have his last name here. I don't have his first name. I'm pretty sure it's Sean Halfley. He was, as I mentioned, he was the head coach at Boston College for the last 3 years, and now he's the defensive coordinator with Green Bay. So that's the number one thing I'm looking forward to here with the Green Bay, because the Green Bay is a good team. They have it. They have a good team. They built a good team. They extended Love. They have good receivers. They're good everywhere. I'm looking for the scheme. What's Halfley going to bring to this Green Bay team? That Joe Barry, no, I remember his name, didn't. Joe Barry has a shell defense. He was letting all offenses cook him, basically. Um, so what can Halfley bring that Barry couldn't? That's what I'm looking for Green Bay. And Cleveland, this is a team that offensively, it's just rough to watch them I mean, I don't know what happened to Deshaun Watson. I don't know if it was the suspension that hurt him. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was the year off that he had with the Texans. But man, oh my gosh. I mean, it's like I'm watching a completely new quarterback. Watson has lost all of his flashiness, all of his explosiveness since he was. I mean, man, that whole thing, man. Oh my gosh. Now, I mean, it's like I'm watching a 38-year-old quarterback when I'm watching Deshaun Watson, and it's a shame because Deshaun Watson is when he's on, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, but he just hasn't been able to come back to that stage yet. Um, he lost like almost all of his mobility since he left the Texans. I mean, he doesn't have as good of an arm as he does. His accuracy's way down. Um, so if he plays, that's what we're gonna figure out. If he does, I'm curious to see how Halfley's defense goes up against him. But that's not the main thing I'm looking for from the Browns. Is not quarterback play. I'm actually looking for running back play. So Nick Chubb, I don't know if he's necessarily behind or if this injury is just taking a long time to recover from. And honestly, I get that because it was a really severe injury. He's not going to play any of the preseason, I believe, and I doubt he's going to be ready for week 1. So who are the other running backs that can step up here? Cleveland running backs, you need to step up here. I'm and they had Deonta Foreman, but he had a neck injury, got airlifted to a hospital, so I don't think he's not going to be him anymore. I think Kareem Hunt's still available, but I don't think they're going to sign him because they kind of let him walk. So yeah, Cleveland running backs. I mean, your first two guys are out. You got to step up. I mean, I can't think of any of them right now. I'm drawing a blank, but these are guys that absolutely need to step up, right? So that's that with the Packers and Browns. Next up, we have Bucks and Bengals. Bucks, I'm looking at the new offense. You guys lost your offensive coordinator. You re-signed Baker Mayfield. You added a couple guys. You re-signed Tristan Wirfs. Just show consistency. Show offensive consistency. Um, you know, I this is the thing. You need to be able to be consistent offensively because I don't, and I'm a Baker Mayfield guy. I think that I know that he can play as well as he did last season. It's just a matter of repeating it, and um, I don't know if they can do that, but luckily they're not in a very strong division. Atlanta doesn't really scare me as much as people think that they do. There's not a scary team. Atlanta does not scare me at all. They don't do anything to move me. Um, so that's that with Atlanta, or not with Atlanta, with Tampa. I just want to see their offense. They have a new offensive coordinator. Just show that you can be consistent, and that's basically that. Cincinnati, it's the exact same thing. You lost Brian Callahan to Tennessee. You have a new offensive coordinator. Just show that you can be consistent here. It's not a matter of making sure you score 38 points. It's a matter of making sure you could score 17 points in around 3 quarters. Like that's kind of where I am with that. It's a matter of making sure you can score 20 points in an overall game. That's like the biggest thing here. If I'm Cincy, and look, Tampa has a good defense. They have good depth there. They have good D line depth. They have a very solid secondary. Same thing goes for Cincy for Tampa. Cincy has a good defense. They have a good front seven. Their secondary is not as good, but they are still not a terrible defense. That they're not a push around. They're not easy to shove. So that's something I'm definitely like. It's just the offense is really because we know Cincy's a relatively good team. We know Tampa Bay is a pretty good team. I'm just looking forward to new offensive. Is there going to be a new offensive scheming here? Like, are these guys important to? Because keep in mind, fantasy football's coming up soon, and like if Burrow, I don't know, I doubt that Burrow's going to play, but if his backup can't play well because of the play calling, then I'm not going to go for Burrow. I'm not going to go for Chase. I'm not going to go for those guys. Well, Chase I wouldn't be able to get with my pick. Because that's the point. But yeah, that's what I'm looking for in that game. All right, Chiefs and Jaguars. Chiefs are coming off a Super Bowl win, looking for that three-peat. It's their third ring in their fifth Super Bowl appearance, I believe, in the last 6 years, right? No, 6 years. Where am I getting that from? Hold on. So they went in 2020 and they won in 2020. They won in 21 and they lost in 21. They didn't go in 22. So they have 4 Super Bowl appearances in the last 5 years and they've won 3 of them. So they have been very good lately. And they're looking for that third straight Super Bowl. And it starts here. And it really starts with the receivers. They added Hollywood Brown. Rashee Rice I don't know if he's playing or not. I haven't heard anything else about that hit and run thing. I haven't heard anything about that. They drafted Xavier Worthy, which was so stupid. I don't know how anybody why would you let the Chiefs get him? I still like Justin Watson. They still have Sky Moore. They still have Kadarius Toney. Like, he's not a real playmaker, but he could be. So the receiving room is what I'm looking forward to. Can any of these guys show that they can be the guy? I think Worthy can. I think Hollywood Brown, and we know Hollywood Brown can play. He can play well. I've seen Hollywood Brown play well with the Ravens, and he's played pretty well with the Cardinals. And this is a good system for him because the Chiefs, they are built on quick screens and they're built on dumps in case Mahomes needs to scramble. And Mahomes is scrambling a lot, even with that good offensive line. They're built for They're improv. That's their scheme is just improv. Mahomes is rolling out left. Okay, so Travis Kelce, who is all the way on the other side of the field, he's going to run across the field. It's like they almost run like a basket. It's almost like basketball. They set screens and then they go deep. Like they go to the paint. Like they are like a basketball team. They don't have a specific thing. They just kind of improv it and then they just kind of hope that it goes the way it does. So that's kind of what I'm looking forward to. Another thing I'm looking forward to, being calm. And yes, I actually wrote this down on my notes is calm. I wrote down the word calm. Now you might say, Kyle, what does that mean? So you are coming off a season where it was all Taylor Swift. Every play, Travis Kelce got tackled after he made a 5-yard catch, and you just went and then Cameron went to Taylor, and she was like, like, oh my gosh, like that. Oh gosh, so irritating. Luckily, the offseason has been pretty Taylor free, which is very nice. Keep it going that way. Please keep the season that way. So look, expectations for you are high. Okay, you want to win that third. You want to win that third straight Super Bowl. Okay. But with all the media attention that your tight end gets because he's dating Taylor Swift, bring that energy down. There are certain teams, like as I mentioned before at the beginning of the pod, like the Lions need to keep that energy up because they are an energy-based team. If they don't have play with energy, then they're not going to play with anything. The Chiefs, they don't need energy. They just need to play. They just need to play safe and sound football. If they play with too much energy, then they lose. That's kind of the difference between the Chiefs and the Lions. I don't trust the Chiefs right now with like all the media attention. It's almost scary how much they get. So I would back off. I would say, look, we're the Chiefs, even though we're getting a ton of attention because of this, that, and the other. we're the Chiefs. We're the defending Super Bowl champs. Play with pride. Don't play with energy. Play with pride. Pride gets you further than energy. So that's what I'm looking forward to with the Jaguars. I'm also not with the Jaguars, with the Chiefs. I'm hoping that we don't see Taylor Swift. I swear, if we do, turning off the TV immediately. Jacksonville. What are we looking forward to there? Mac Jones. Mac Jones is my number one thing here. How he is in a safe and sound environment. It's nice to see him here. We're not used to seeing him the way he's been playing. What the thing is with the Patriots and what they were like with Belichick in the Patriot way, which obviously doesn't work because Brady isn't there. The Brady way is really what it is. Belichick is extremely strict, and he didn't let Mac Jones do anything. And the thing is, you gotta let Mac Jones kind of play like Nick Saban and Belichick have a lot of similarities. I'm comparing them because Jones went to Alabama. Nick Saban and Belichick are they are super heavy on discipline. They're super heavy on discipline, and I agree with that. You want to make sure that you don't get penalized, even if you're up by 50 and you pass interference. They're going to cut you down. They're going to say, "Don't do that again." Like that's like not a good play. The only thing is Saban, and I don't know if it's because if it's a college environment or what, he's a little bit lenient when it comes to bringing energy. The Patriots, no energy. There is no energy there at all. Belichick shut down the energy. Gerard Mayo has a chance to kind of bring that back. Be a little bit lenient with the players. Let Mac Jones do the gritty. Well, not on camera, please. Let him do it privately. Let those things kind of happen individually, and if they do, great. If they don't, then it is what it is. I'm just saying, Mac Jones is in an environment where he's finally happy. Like, and we've seen the Jaguars, like they're like teasing him, like when they're running like ball carrier drills with the quarterbacks, like they're purposely hitting Mac Jones harder, and he's laughing about it. Like that's the stuff I like to see. I also want to see the receivers. They lost Calvin Ridley, but they added Gabe Davis. They also have oh my gosh, they have Kirk there, but other than those guys, who else can step up? Because the Jaguars are a team of stepping up. Who is someone that, okay, well, look, Kirk can't play this week. Okay, Gabe Davis can't play this week. Who can step up? Because they had guys last year on defensively step up. It's just a matter of getting other guys offensively to step up for Trevor Lawrence. And that's basically that for the Chiefs and Jaguars. All right, we have 5 more games to go. This is a long recording. I usually don't go this far. And this is the thing. This is like a replica of my live streams. I'll talk about that at the end of the episode. Niners at Titans. So Niners looking at running backs. So obviously they still have Elijah Mitchell as their number one, but other than that, who else can step up? McCaffrey I believe he has a calf injury, and he's going to be out for the entire preseason, which is a red flag for me. Who else can step up? Because if McCaffrey's not getting any preseason warm-ups, then that's not good. He needs to. So who else can step up? Can Elijah Mitchell maintain that load? I think he can, but can he stay healthy? Can other guys keep that load? If not, then they're kind of in trouble. Tennessee, there's 3 things here I'm actually looking forward to. New secondary, new receivers, new offense. So the DBs, they added Quandre Diggs, which I didn't even know about until like late at night. I saw that they signed him. I was like, okay, they have Diggs, they added Jamal Adams, they have L'Jarius Sneed. This is a new secondary, and they're probably I'm just saying they should play they should get a couple reps against the San Francisco team, and this will be a big test for them. Can they maintain their offense against this high-powered San Francisco team? Because if they can't, then all those signings were all for nothing. But if they can, then great. Then you might be able to contend in the AFC South, which has turned around its fate in one offseason, because all teams really in this division are good. Tennessee is a good team. Jacksonville's a good team. Houston's a good team, and Indy's a good team. Like, they are a good division now. Receivers, they added Calvin Ridley, but other than that, DeAndre Hopkins got hurt. So who else can step up? I'm pretty sure they still have Treylon Burks. They have guys that can step up, and I want that to happen. And they have a great opportunity to do that in the new offense that Brian Callahan has. So Brian Callahan came from Cincy, and I think the best case scenario is that Will Levis turns into a like mini Joe Burrow, if that makes sense. Can he make those like not? Don't be super. What am I saying? You don't need to be like you don't need to be Joe Burrow to win this division. You need to be Trevor Lawrence to win this division, and that's not a high bar. It really isn't. I mean, if Will Levis can play if he can play at the level that Trevor Lawrence played at 2 years ago, then they're fine. If he can't, then Tennessee is going to be a bottom feeder on the AFC South, and that's fine because it's a relatively hard division. Um, but I'm just curious to see how Will Levis kind of molds this season because they built a very good team around him. They also have Tony Pollard. They have a good team now. All right, where are we? We have Seahawks and Chargers. So Seahawks, Sam Howell. That's all I'm looking for. Can Sam Howell be consistent? If he can, great. If he can't, bad. Really, that's great analysis right there. Okay, seriously though, Sam Howell, he was slinging it last year. I mean, he threw a lot. He threw a lot of picks though. He had a very Josh Allen like season. He was just throwing the ball wherever he could. Not saying that he was necessarily bad because he was getting sacked a lot, but I will say, I mean, it was pretty funny because Commander fans overrated him so much. And I mean, I still don't really know why. I mean, they were just like, I don't get it. I genuinely don't get it. They were just overrating him so much. They were like, "Oh, Sam Howell is the guy." Oh my gosh, he can think. Look at his arm, and then he would throw 3 picks. It's like it doesn't make any sense. Can he limit those picks with Seattle? And he should be able to because he has a more consistent team there. They have a new head coach there with Mike McDonald. So it's and that's like a 30-year downgrade from Pete Carroll. And I like Mike McDonald. I think that was a good hire by Seattle. But I'm not really looking forward to the defense because I know they can play well. I'm looking more for Sam Howell and consistency because Geno Smith, he's been out for practice the last couple of days, and I don't really know why. It's a little suspicious, but whatever. I know he has something with his I want to say it's his hip. I want to say. And he's been out of practice. So if he can't go week 1, then Sam Howell is going to have to step up there. With the Chargers, I have energy written down. You just hired a new head coach. Jim Harbaugh is a nut. It doesn't matter how you slice it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you think of him. He's a nut. Good nut, bad nut. He's a little bit of both. I would like he's an energetic nut. Okay, he can, and that's why I have energy written down. You're playing for your head coach now. If I'm the Chargers, you just had a bad year. You just had a 5th overall pick year. Okay, you weren't good. You weren't good. You just lost Keenan Allen. You just lost Mike Williams. But you just brought in Jim Harbaugh. Show that he can be that guy. Show that he's not worthless. You just brought him from Michigan. He just won the Natty. He just left the national champions for the NFL. When we've been wondering if he was going to do that, and now he is. So here, Jim Harbaugh brings the energy, and the Chargers need to replicate that. These players, second string, third string, they need to replicate that. Bring the energy, because if you're not playing for your coach, you're not playing for anybody. And that's the biggest thing here for the Chargers is just to be energetic. Look, the Chargers are never really regular season wise. They're not a pushover. They're not. They are a good solid team. Show that you can be that good solid team. And just bring the energy. Saints at Cardinals. This is an absolute snooze fest. Luckily, it's just the preseason. So, with the Saints, I couldn't even think of anything that I'm looking forward to because sneak peek to my predictions, the Saints are gonna be one of my worst teams in the NFL. I just don't. There's not a good team, and I'm not saying like there's not a good team, and I think and I don't know who to blame for that, but that's just what it is. But my big thing is the new defensive line that they have. They added Brian Brzee, they added Isaiah Foskey, and they also added Chase Young. These are guys that are coming. Brzee is he a rookie? Man, I don't even know if he's in his second year or not. I know Foskey's a rookie, and then Chase Young obviously is he's been in the league for a little bit now. Uh, So like that's kind of what I'm looking for with the Saints. I'll be honest, the Saints bore me. There's this ever since Drew Brees left, they are such a boring team. Like they are just boring. There's nothing fun about the Saints. They're just boring. If I'm New Orleans, yeah, I'm tearing it down. You have to. They this is not a team that should be competing. You need to tear it down and start from the beginning. And their biggest mistake was signing Derek Carr. And I hate saying that because I'm a big Derek Carr guy. I still think the Raiders shouldn't have gotten rid of him. Um, like if the Raiders had still had Derek Carr, they'd be in a significantly better spot than they are right now. But whatever. Here's the thing: is and a sneak peek into my previews. I'm pretty sure that New Orleans is going to be my worst team in the league, and they. If I'm the Saints, I'm fighting for the number one pick. I just don't see another spot where I mean they're just not a good team. I just don't see a world where they genuinely stay consistent. I just don't. Arizona, bring the energy. They were not. I mean, for a 4-13, I believe. Right. What were they? 4-13, I believe. They weren't bad. I mean, Jonathan Gannon I think he's a good head coach. They could be good. I have energy because they could be good this year. And I'm still trying to figure out what my bold take's going to be, and I'm going to make a separate video for that. Um, so the thing is, if Arizona brings energy, and look, they could be a playoff team this year. They could be genuinely. I feel like they could be a playoff team this year. Like they have in my opinion, their floor is like 3-14, but their ceiling could be like 10-7, 11-6. Like they could do that if Kyler Murray plays well. So if I'm Arizona, I'm just bringing the energy because you're a very young team. I would just play with heart. Just do that because if you're playing with heart, then you're good. That's really it there. Broncos and Colts. With the Broncos, you're looking for quarterback play. Wilson, Stidham, and obviously Bo Nix. Now Bo Nix has been very good, but he's the third string right now. Right now, Jared Stidham is currently the projected starter for the Broncos, which I don't really get, but whatever. Apparently Zach Wilson has not been very good. Stidham's been okay, and Nix has been very good. That's what I've heard from Broncos camp so far. Um, so I don't know how they're going to divide it up. I would imagine that Stidham would play a good amount, and I'm pretty sure they're going to divide it up evenly, or as even as they can, and get Bo Nix the snaps that he needs. But I'm definitely curious to see how all the QBs play. Can Zach Wilson thrive in another system? Is this what he needed? Did he need a refresh? Did he need a rebrand? Is Jared Stidham good? I don't think so. How does Bo Nix feel at a big league level? And that's what we're kind of seeing. I don't know if I ever said this in one of my videos when I was talking about Bo Nix, but I feel like Bo Nix is the most NFL. I felt that Bo Nix was the most NFL ready quarterback in the draft, and I still think that. I think because of all of his experience at Auburn and Oregon. So that's kind of the big thing there. For Indy, I'm looking for consistency. Look, you went 9-8 last year with Gardner Minshew, and that says a lot because Anthony Richardson was supposed to be the guy. Just be consistent. Just bring what you had last year to this year, and just improve on it just a little bit because then that's a double-digit winning team right there. It could be. They're not a bad team. They're really not. They have all the pieces that they need to be a borderline playoff team, and that's kind of the place they're stuck in right now. Um, I just want consistency from everybody. Just be consistent. Don't go out. Don't be like a rookie and have like 3 sacks this week, and then go out and have no pressures the next week. Be consistent. Indy is historically built on consistency. They have never been that team other than since Peyton Manning. Really, they haven't been that team since Peyton Manning. They genuinely haven't been, but they've been consistent. They had Andrew Luck. He didn't really play well. Oh, that is completely incorrect. They had Andrew Luck. Their offensive line didn't play well, and he had to retire. But they were consistent with him. They were consistently a good team with Andrew Luck. Then they went to Jacoby Brissett, and he wasn't bad with Indy either. Honestly, he wasn't that bad. Then they went to Philip Rivers, again, not bad at all with the Colts. They made the playoffs, I believe, both years under Philip Rivers, and now they're here. Um, then they had Matt Ryan, and again, I'll be honest, they weren't that bad. I mean, Jeff Saturday wasn't maybe the best option for a head coach, but whatever. And now they have Shane Steichen, who kind of repeats that old thing of Be consistent, because that's what they are. They're just a consistent team. That's just what they do. So that's really it for Denver and Indy as we are approaching the 1 hour mark on this episode. This is like my longest recording ever. I mean, and I'm gonna keep doing this if you guys want to, whatever. All right, last game that I'm going to talk about. This game, the Denver game was on Sunday. I forgot to mention the Denver and Indy game was on Sunday. So Dallas and Rams. Dallas, I'm looking for defense. Dan Quinn left for Washington. You have a new defensive scheme with Mike Zimmer. How can you kind of evolve that? Are you still going to be pass rush heavy? Are you going to be defensive secondary heavy now? Does Trevon Diggs play? Does Deron Bland? Because look, Diggs and Bland are overrated. Bland, I can argue a little bit that he's a good corner, but Diggs is overrated. I will stand on that. I will stand on that hill forever. He's just not a good cover corner. He isn't. I think Diggs would be better at safety because he's not. I mean, he gets burnt every time he's in coverage. He's been burnt by Kendrick Bourne. And I'm not saying, I like Kendrick Bourne. I think he's a good receiver. I'm just saying, like, he's not getting toasted by Jefferson. He's getting toasted by Kendrick Bourne. He got toasted by Kadarius Toney with Mike Glennon at quarterback. I'm just saying, it is what it is. So I'm just curious to see, how does this defense play? All of them, because Dallas, it doesn't matter if Dallas is a team. It doesn't matter if someone gets hurt. They always have someone to step up, and they always play equally as well. So just kind of play it that way. Mike Zimmer's got a good defensive scheme. And he has toys to play with. With the Rams, receivers got to step up. Tutu Atwell specifically, because Puka's hurt. He's out week to week, and then Cooper Kupp, he's 100% ready to go. I'm not buying that. He's going to get hurt again. I mean, and I hate saying that because Cooper Kupp's a really good receiver. When he's healthy, he's probably one of the best ones. Backup receivers, step up. Show that you deserve a spot on this roster because Puka's hurt, and they need someone to step up. Because Puka, right now, in my opinion, Puka's the number one, and then Kupp's the number two. So Kupp's the number one, and they need someone to step up. I think Tutu Atwell's there. He's good enough to be a number two, I would say. But they need other players to step up as well. They need other players as well to step up with the Rams. All right. We made it through every preseason game. So before I wrap up things here, I want you guys to comment below. What did you like? What did you not like? Do you want me to keep doing these kind of videos? If you don't, do you want shorter individual game videos? Because I'm willing to kind of do anything. Because I'll be honest, this is in one take, so it's kind of annoying to talk for like an hour straight. Do you want me to do live streams? Because I'm willing to do that if you guys want me to. Just let me know what you want me to do. Comment that down below. I'll probably leave a comment in case you guys don't make it this far, which wouldn't really surprise me because this is an hour-long episode. All right, that's where we're going to end this episode. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you probably on Sunday. That's probably when my next recording will be. Just check the schedule, and it'll be there. All right, I'll see you.